Greetings and welcome back to another episode of the Hopecast. How you doing, Steve?
You know what? I'm doing well, thank you. I still have that weird throat thing, have a fisherman's friend in. I'm going to try to get through it. So you'll do most of the talking today, but what's new with that, right? I always say talk. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know what's going on with this. But anyhow,
I'm trying to live in a bubble for the next 2 weeks. That would be horrible if I got sick right now.
I was so scared about that too. I was all, what if I go just, I don't want to be around anyone. Everybody goes, I want to see you before you have surgery. I'm all, get away. We got back from the beach and I isolated. But yeah, you have your pre-op appointment tomorrow.
Yes, it's getting time. So I have to go to the hospital tomorrow and go over my pre-op stuff. And they're going to run me through the rigmarole of whatever they do. And then 2 hours after that, I go see my surgeon, who is office is across the street, and he's going to give me the breakdown on what's going to happen. And then in 2 weeks, it's go time.
It's really weird. I don't think they're supposed to do surgeries if you haven't had a pre-op appointment, but they did mine. I didn't have one. I think my urologist thought that the surgeon was going to do it, and both of them thought my regular doctor was going to do this. And somebody tell me what's going on, because I didn't know any of that stuff. I knew from other surgeries to stop things like fish oil, and there's a list of medications that you have to stop, blood thinners, that type of thing.
Yeah.
But I didn't get to have that, and I don't know if that's good or bad. That whole scary thing that you get, you go, I'm in the hospital in 2 weeks. I'm going to be back here doing my thing. Hey, look at that. Yeah, but it's going to start doing it. See, now I have control over it. I don't know.
Oh, right.
People that are listening, that you have no idea the struggles we go through to do this every week. I'm telling you.
We do it for you.
Yeah, it's not for us, obviously. Look at us. We're all, hey, we're here. But the appointment you're going to do?
Yeah, so I'm in the dark here. I have no idea what they're going to do. I'm assuming they're going to take blood and do EKG, but I have no idea what to expect tomorrow at 11 o'clock in the morning. I just know I have to be at the hospital.
Yeah, they are going to do, hey, we need to check your heart. We need to listen to your lungs. We need to do, I've done it for other things, but yeah. I think meeting the surgeon and getting to talk to him, because I met my surgeon during the biopsy, and I didn't have a whole lot of communication with him until after my surgery. Which was a really weird deal. And I know a lot of people are going, you didn't have enough opinions. You didn't have this. You didn't have that. You're right. And you weren't in my shoes, and you weren't making my decisions with my facts. So, regardless of what happened, he was definitely qualified to do what he did. I think everything from that standpoint was okay. The only thing that I didn't like is I found out afterwards when they said that it's outside the margins. They said, well, we knew that was a really strong possibility before we went in. I said, you didn't tell me that.
Right.
And so there were too many people. And I think the more people you involve in trying to get other opinions or whatever, it just compounds that information overload, and the ball gets dropped because people think someone else is going to do it. So you have to stay on top of your own stuff. They said you are the advocate for yourself during this process, and that's true. I firmly believe that. Now, there's some weird things that I need to ask you about, see if you've heard this before. But I had something weird happen the other day. My tooth was hurting. I don't know, about 2 months ago, I broke one of my jaw teeth. It decided that it was going to give up and chunk off. And I go, what is this all about? And I went to the dentist, and they said, well, it doesn't hurt, right? I said, no. And they said, well, it's because of a filling, way back when, and your tooth is cracked. It not only front to back, but side to side. you've cracked your teeth. And I said, really? Said, well, there's a hairline on the other side. And I go, what are we doing? So anyhow, they said, we're going to put a crown on it at some point. Everything was all money, money, money. And I said, I have enough stuff going on right now. I'm going to wait. Well, when I was on my trip with my daughter, my mouth was hurting really bad. And I said, okay, what's going on? Went to the dentist again, a new person, and they did all these high-tech x-rays. And they said, well, the problem is that tooth is cracked and it's causing some pain. And I go, why did my teeth crack? And I said, is this because of the aftermath from my prostate surgery when they basically killed everything? My system was shutting down. Is that what happened? It drew stuff out of my teeth that caused them to crack. And they go, it could be a coincidence. And I said, you're telling me 2 teeth are cracked. So is that what's causing the pain? And he said, well, I think so. And he was tapping on the tooth. And I go, that doesn't hurt. And he went to the next one and it shot that, that bolt of pain through my jaw. And I go, that's the tooth. And he goes, there's nothing wrong with that tooth. So we went and had this other x-ray, and he found below the gum line, it was cracked and it started trying to, it was like into the nerve right there. And he said, you're going to have that pulled. Well, I've never had a tooth pulled, but he's saying because of the crack and the fact that it's going to decay below the gum line and you can't really save the tooth, et cetera, we're going to pull it. And so you remember that technique I said that I use with the thumbnail into my finger? I was doing that, and he was trying to deaden everything up my jaw, and I'm all, this is not going to be any fun. Well, he ended up pulling that, and he goes, now that other tooth, both of them are going to need crowns because they're cracked. Have you ever heard of something with anesthesia, something with surgery, something with, you had 6 guys holding you down for that one procedure, you didn't crack a tooth?
No,
Is that something you read anything about on the pages?
I have not.
Okay, so it's my conspiracy theory.
Um, yeah, to be honest with you, though, I really stopped reading because of all I was reading is negative stuff.
Right.
So,
Well, and people got slammed, and then
yeah,
you turned me onto that podcaster page. I know this has nothing to do with what we're talking about, but it kind of does. Did you see that one post that was posted on there for help? There was a picture that got posted, and I'm all, what in the heck? The admins were sleeping. It was like, everybody's all, this is not appropriate. And no doubt it's not appropriate. But you know how people do it? They get on the sites and they'll post, hey, check me out here. Or, hey, go here for free lawn care or whatever, the little scam things that they do. But it came up. So you do have to be careful. And we talked about that other site and the fact that it got negative. And I think depending on your headspace, you either go there or you don't.
right.
And I like going because people need help, and some of the stories make me research. And when I research, I go, we need to share this information. This is stuff I printed today. And I go, we're not going to get to that in months worth of stuff, but it's broken up into little categories. One of which that I printed today is called Preoperative Instructions for Robotic Radical Prostatectomy. And I go, that's you, right?
Yeah.
And I started talking about, okay, well, the medication, right, that you have to stop. Aspirin, Motrin, ibuprofen, Aleve, vitamin E, fish oil, any other blood thinners, including herbal medications, multivitamins. Stop taking any new weight loss medications like Ozempic, Wegovy, any of those. They say no, that's going to increase the risk of vomiting with anesthesia, and you don't want to aspirate into your lungs. I'll tell you, that's not the fun route when you're done with this. But they have all kinds of things now. Do take your heart, thyroid, asthma medications the morning of surgery, tiny sip of water. If you're diabetic, you need to take your medication. Don't take them the morning of surgery. But if you do take insulin, use only half the normal dose in the morning. And I go, I don't have any of those things, so I don't know. But I go, somebody listening could, right? And you go checking out things on the list and you go, okay. So the thing that's bizarre about this is an actual sheet off of the page for, and I can tell you who did it. It is Brownward Urology Center for Excellence. I don't even know what state this came out of, but it was all, as I was compiling, I go, they have a really good list of things that you need to do. And they go, hey, do you need to prepare things? I will tell you, your Kegels and all of those things that you're doing now, you need to continue doing. They go, hey, standing, sitting, lying down, you can do them anywhere. How do you do them? You tighten, you hold it for 10 seconds, you release for about 10 to 20 seconds and do it again. And you're going to do sets of 10, and you're going to do 5 or 6 sets a day. After you have your surgery, that catheter comes out, you need to start doing those before. That is going to help with incontinence. That's going to help with all this. And somebody said, is that going to help me in bed? No. That is all about nerve sparing. And another thing that the doctors don't talk about enough is if it's going to be a nerve sparing surgery. Are they going to be able to one or both of those nerve bundles? Because that is the triggering agent for you to get an erection. And if they take one, it can take up to 2 years for those nerves to fire in the right order to have success. I'm trying to keep this, somewhat clinical, but
Yeah.
there's things right on the backside that you can do during that 2-year time frame. There's medicine. They're going to have you like on Cialis and all of that at the beginning, and they're going to try to figure out what works. If that doesn't, it's injections, and if you have to go that way, it's implants, which is a surgery that I go, I don't think I don't think that is a necessary. I don't know. I don't think that's necessary. Now, my wife said, she goes, I feel so sorry for you. And I go, why is that? She goes, because that's such a big aspect of who you are. And I go, that's a big aspect for anybody that stands up to pee. You're worried about that. That is on your mind. It's going to be on your mind. But you go, wait, if you're worrying about it afterwards, that means you're alive. And that's the key to all of this. The rest of this stuff, secondary, silly nonsense. And when she said that, I went, that's not it. It's just, I need to make sure that, I have something to cling on to, because this emotional roller coaster isn't over. Right. And so you have to go in steps, and it's gonna, that play on your emotions, and it makes you angry and all of those things you go through. And Keely said, what? It's because we're suffering a loss, right? There's a huge change that's happening to us, and we're all experiencing that. So when people have really good, quick, somebody said 2 hours and 15 minutes, her hubby was in surgery. She got to see him 2 hours later. He's planned to go home tomorrow. I was rejoicing with these people, saying, this is how it should be. Get home and heal.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I got to do that in a hospital, but it prevented me from doing things I was supposed to do. Because after surgery, you've heard about the shoulder pain from all the gas and all the air, right? That's trapped in. They said, how do you get rid of that? They said, walk, walk, walk. I couldn't walk, walk, walk. I was on 100% oxygen, stuck to the wall. And so I missed out on some of those things. I didn't get to find out if it's a recliner or in the bed. I chose the bed when I still had the catheter. And then of course those stupid ports, I was in the bed as well. But some people say it's a recliner. It's whatever position that you're comfortable in. But at the same time, they say don't stay in that same position for more than a couple hours. Get up, move around, whatever. If you walk and you get that pain out, and what kind of pain is it? It's like really, really, really bad heartburn, but it's in your shoulders. And it's like, oh my, you can't relieve it unless you expel gas. And
yeah. How does it get up in your shoulders?
because you're inverted on the table like that, and so it goes. I don't know.
Yeah.
They told me it was the inversion on the table and the way they have you laying. and they have to put that in there in order to get things out of the way so they can see and where they need to go. But why does it end up in your shoulder? I don't know. That's a good one for when the doc gets on. We can ask them these important questions.
Yes.
But that's one of those you can ask tomorrow and come back with the answer for us. Because I never got to ask that question, so I don't I don't really know the answer other than the fact that it's real and it will get you. And so, anyhow, that's one of those things.
A lot of people say buy these special pants, like these tearaway pants that the basketball players wear.
Mm-hmm.
Did you do that?
I will tell you, I over prepared for what I thought I was going to need. The tearaway like gym shorts, mine were just like a terry cloth type, real light material, but it had buttons down the side, so you can get that catheter hose wherever you want it to go. If I mean, you're going to be at home, it's loose, it's going to be, in the bucket. You'll want the bucket or strapped to the side of the bed or your leg or whatever. I never did it to the leg. I always just carried it with me. And when you're able to go into the bathroom and you go, all right, I need to measure, and it's crazy. You're dumping all of this stuff, and like I said, you learn to deal with all of that pretty quick. But as far as what you really truly need when you first get home, I would say definitely get those bed pads that you put under the sheet in case you have an accident, right? You don't want that messed up. I bought pads, and in the men pads that they have, they're like huge, but they keep any leakage down. I did buy some of because I was told I needed all this. I had some adult pull up type things, the depends.
Yeah.
And I was all ready, but then remember I was not home, so I didn't really use a lot of the shorts. I love the shorts being able to, go zzz, and they have them with the Velcro, they have them with the buttons. The only thing, the Velcro gives you that rectangle of Velcro stuff on your leg as opposed to a button. So, whatever you end up with those, they say tear away, and a lot of times I think they're talking the Velcro stuff. It's not a game changer, I don't think, either way. You're not going to be worrying about irritation from the Velcro when you have all of your other issues you're going to be dealing with. You go, I got my catheter, buddy, and I have my incisions, and why is that side of me black and blue? And, you'll find all kinds of cool bruises when they're done, and you'll be all glued up. But as far as the prep stuff, I think the bed pad thing is good. Had it in the hospital. They put one in the chair, when you're cruising around, and I go, when I got home, I did that. I said, I have it on I didn't want my couch to get messed up. But I'll tell you, as soon as they took that catheter out, I didn't have any leakage issues. With all the BS I went through, knock on wood, that was not one of my problems. I wore them like, oh my gosh, you need to be close to the bathroom, right? Because you're retraining your bladder and brain to coexist. But if you need to go, you need to go. And so once that catheter is out, I had one of the little bottles by the bed, because my stomach was messed up, and with those ports, I just used the bottle, the big jug, urinal deal, and set it down on the backside of that. But it's don't get too much stuff, because you can always go and get more. Don't do what I did and go to Amazon and bulk it. If you were closer, I'd drive you some supplies over. And my wife goes, what do we do with those? I go, I don't know if I'm going to need any of that later in life. If I have to do radiation or whatever, but if somebody needs that and they're around, I'm gonna just donate and go, hey, I can always get more.
Yeah.
So don't get too crazy on this stuff. The main thing says what to bring with you to the hospital, or what. Oh, bowel prep. That's another one. Day of surgery, arriving post-operative, meeting with your team, seeing your doctor. It's time to rock and roll. That takes you through all this stuff you get to do in the morning when you get there. 2 hours prior to your surgery, you're gonna get in there, do admittance, registration, all of that stuff. And then they're going to go into that prep area. And that's when you're going to get the IV started and you're going to do all of this stuff. And they'll go, here, once we get you to sign off and you talk to the doctor and the anesthesiologist and they sign and you answer the questions, now you don't have to legally be able to answer our questions or sign anything. Here's something to make you feel better. And at that point, the world's a happy place because you're going to get it out. You're going to have your surgery, and then the backside is what it is. But I'm curious to know what all you get to go over tomorrow. Questions. If you have them, bring them to the doctor. I part of me is worried that you're going to ask too many questions and get scared on this whole process and go back to rethinking what you're doing. Because my brain tried to do that. I go, am I making the right decision? And I think we all do that. But
yeah.
Get in the right headspace. It'll be all right.
It's too late now. There's no turning back.
That's true. That's true. When you make that decision, you sign the papers and you go, I'm going in now.
Yeah. I'm much more comfortable having surgery rather than the other options. Yeah, to be quite honest with you.
Well, and that's
say in the support group.
that's the journey, right? And the thing is, you have to talk to someone. You have to be able to have someone as a sounding board. My wife did a lot of research. My kids did a lot of research, and they would come to me and go, hey, what does this mean? I go, good thing I did research. But a lot of it is the same. I mean, once you get down to the bottom line, the PSAs and you understand all the scores. Once you go in to have this done, you've made that decision. It's your decision. You made it for you. And that stinking thinking negative crap that you get out there, just don't even entertain that.
Correct.
Think about barbecue and yeah. So have you decided what you're doing? Are you going to wait till after to take your trip?
Yeah, we're going to go after, and I decided I'm just going to do it after. That way I'll have something to focus on.
Very good.
So, yes, but I did have a beer this past weekend.
Did you?
Yes. So do you know who Dave Portnoy is?
No.
He's this super rich guy that started Barstool Sports, and so now basically he just travels the country and goes to different pizza places. He eats pizza every single day, and he rates it. But he's super famous, right? So there's a pizza joint he was just at on Thursday in Nashville. So my wife and I went down there on Saturday, and just because he was there on Thursday, that place was jam-packed, and he gave that pizza joint an 8.1. So he rates it 1 to 10, but
right,
there's fractions. He uses fractions, like I don't know how scientific it is, but this pizza place was actually a brewery also. So I had a couple of their brews, and it was delicious.
Yeah, you don't want to deprive yourself of one or two.
Yeah.
And I know at first you go, I'm stopping everything. C3 is that magic number of fun.
Yeah.
You go, I'm not going to feel bad tomorrow, but I'm digging this pizza. I see why I got the 8.1.
Yeah.
Was a good pizza though.
It was delicious.
Yeah.
It was honey with, and they drizzled hot honey on it. I was like, that's pretty interesting. Yes, very good.
Yeah. They find their thing and they go. I have people at work. We went on the best burger tour. And so we would pick a place and go, we have to go here and try their burger. It's supposed to be the best ever. And so on one of those off days, we would all go to lunch together and we would rate the burgers. And I go, nope. Found out that there's a gas station in town that has this little grill in the back. And these burgers, I don't know what they do to them, but you can pick what kind of bun you want and the cheese and the this, that, and the other. And I go, we didn't have to drive. These guys have this figured out. But I think pizza would be good too, but how do you when you get into some of those things, it's like the chili cook-offs, you've been to those, right?
Oh, yeah.
It's what kind of chili you like,
Mhm.
and so I don't know how they do the whole chili judging thing because it depends on how you like it. I know like with barbecue and they go, the brisket needs to pull and, snap without doing that. Whatever. There's rules and regulations, but some of these contests, I don't apple pies and you go, well, I want apple pie like I had growing up, and it's not the same as somebody else's. And so, how do you do that? And I think pizza is one of those because it seems like around here everybody's gone to the fired pizzas,
Yes.
and then you pull it out and you get the burn crunchies on the outside, and it's really, really thin. And I go, what happened to the big, deep crust? That stuff. Remember the Pizza Hut even had their and would come out in that
Yes.
pan and oh
Oh,
man,
that was a good
it was good, but they don't make them like that anymore.
no,
They realize how unhealthy all this stuff is
yeah.
for us. No, we're not.
Yeah, Detroit is famous for, like, a deep dish. Like, Detroit pizza is thick, like, Chicago pizza is thick, but Chicago pizza is filled with a bunch of crap, where Detroit pizza is not. It's completely different, but, it's delicious. I love Detroit style pizza.
See, there you go. Now go barbecue, and do you have it sauced or is it a dry rub when they throw it in the pit?
Yeah,
You do both, don't you? Dry rubs and sauces.
I do a little bit of
Yeah, that chicken you had, that was sauced, but then you had before that it was a dry rub, I believe.
yes.
Yeah, when you started looking at the food that people prepare you, man, why do we go out to eat when we have this available? I know our head mechanic um, brought in today. He had some leftover brisket that he smoked this weekend. I go, I didn't get to try it, so he brought some in and made a sandwich. Oh my! And I go, that would compete with anybody,
Yeah.
anybody's around here. Okay, wait, it really would. What do you do with that? Get out there and do it. But again, you do it different than the people down the street. So I don't know.
A lot of my friends, because I cook a lot, and, everybody knows that I cook, and that they'll say I'm a good cook, blah, blah, blah. They all tell me I should start a restaurant. I mean, yeah, if I did that, then it's work.
Yeah, it's not the same when you fire up the smoker and you have a beer going, what you doing? Watching the temp.
Yeah,
What's it? 245. you know, it gets down to 225. I'm going to have to crack the vents. Oh, that's a big chore. That's another beer. Right. And you get into the restaurant world and people are yelling and they're wanting it their way. And you go, I don't know. Don't mess with a passion like that because
yeah,
it does become work and you'll hate it. Right. So,
exactly.
anyhow, so pizza and barbecue and Kegels. I think that's,
Eagles. Yes, I like that. Should make it
yeah,
I should
we should pizza, barbecue, and Kegels. Yeah, see, that's going to be, PSA and Kegels. What are we doing? We're trying to help people through this. And if you can't kind of go off the rail every now and then and kind of have fun with this, it would be too serious and it would be sad. And I don't want it serious and sad. I want people to understand that everyone has questions. When you get this diagnosis, the first time you go, what do you mean my PSA is elevated? You get scared because they're gonna say the C word and they're gonna, if that's the route that you take, then it's a personal choice. And please, please, please understand whatever you decide to do is right for you. Are you gonna second guess it? If things go wrong, you will. But if not, you're going to be a happy camper and your PSAs will be undetectable for the next 30 years. And God is good. People are happy at this point. Have a beer and just smile because most of the people are going to have that result.
Yes.
He said, that's my result. You just took it from me. I know I just spoke it into existence. I mean, it'll be good. Um, there's gonna be stuff that you have to deal with, but I think right now you're in a pretty good headspace for this trip tomorrow.
Yeah.
Um, shoot me a text and let me know. Um,
Yeah.
I'm still good afterwards or whatever. And then, we're going to have to pre-record a couple shows. So we'll just let everybody know that ahead of time. We're going to have to stack a few because you may not feel like being in that chair for a while.
Yeah, I have no idea what my podcast days are going to look like.
Well,
I mean, it shouldn't be too bad, but
no, I'm thinking as long as you take a couple weeks where you concentrate on you and then you start sliding back into it. And if,
yeah, I
you
felt,
have 3 podcasts though.
yes, I do. Very busy
Yeah.
podcast and a nonprofit. So, but um, damn, my thought just shot up right out of my brain. Never mind.
Yeah. That happened to me a lot during this process. You go, oh, uh, where was that?
I
And
literally
it's,
had a thought. It just went.
well, I'm sorry. Yeah, that was, let's see, what did we talk about? Barbecue, pizza. Oh, you remember now.
No, I don't. But I do have
Oh,
something else. I was at work today, and so I have 2 different buildings that I tend to. I'm an IT guy. 2 different buildings, and this all goes to why you should talk about prostate cancer rather than hold it in. Like, everybody thinks it's taboo. Nobody wants to talk about it. Our thing is talk about it. Taco about it. So this guy walked
but
up to me, and I don't know this gentleman. There's hundreds of people that work in this place, and so he walks up to me and goes, "Hey, Richard." I'm like, "Yes, sir. How can I help you?" I thought maybe he had an IT question. He's like, "Hey, my name's John, and my doctor just told me I have prostate cancer, and I was wondering if I could ask you some questions." And I was like, "Hell yes, you can."
bring it in. Let's talk.
Yeah, so we sat and chatted for about a half an hour. So the word got out, that I have prostate cancer, which there's a lot. I don't know. It's weird. My boss, he's like, he doesn't talk about it like FMLA, blah blah blah. I'm like, I don't give a shit. Like, if it, oops, sorry, I didn't mean to say that.
Yeah.
If it's me, then it's not an FMLA issue because I'm the one that's talking about it. So I don't really care. I feel more comfortable. I feel better when I'm talking about it rather than holding it in. And again, I always feel like if I can help somebody, why not talk about it? That
Yep.
makes no sense. So obviously it's working because this gentleman walked up to me and said, "Hey, is it okay if I ask you questions?" I said, "Absolutely." And then after we talked, I exchanged phone numbers with them, and I texted them. I said, "Hey, this is Richard, blah, blah, blah. Just to let you know, if you ever have any questions, feel free to call me or text me. I'm more than happy to help you out." And also, that same goes for your wife. Your wife is going to be going through some crap too. So if she has any questions, tell her to reach out to me. I have no problem talking about it. So,
Well, and I have done that as well, and thank you for doing that because a lot of people, like you said, it's some kind of taboo cancer. It's people don't want to discuss it, and I don't understand it. It doesn't matter what kind of cancer you have. You're going through something that you need to have a support staff for. You have to be able to
yeah,
talk about it. And the fact that you're doing that for people is awesome, and you're going to realize that it just snowballs. And I don't know, did he have any new questions?
not really. He had a lot of questions like FMLA and stuff because I just applied for FMLA. I decided
Yeah.
so my doctor said 2 to 4 weeks out, and I said, "Okay, well, I'm going for 4 weeks because I don't want to push myself.
Right.
If it's 2 to 4, I want the 4. I want to be a better person on the other end of this, right?" So,
Yeah. But
just
if at 3 weeks, you'll know from the podcast when you're ready to go. But I would say if you have 4 weeks, take 4 weeks.
yeah. So,
Um,
I have 4 weeks vacation, but I elected to use, FMLA and save my vacation because if I went and burned my entire month for this, and then I'd put me in the bag for fun stuff. So I'm gonna save my vacation,
right.
use short-term disability, and just take my 4 weeks of FMLA.
Well, well, I had to use all of my vacation days before that would kick in. the organization I'm with the school district. They said, you have to use all your vacation. Well, we got all of our new vacation days July 1st. I had surgery August 28th. I was out of vacation for all of this. I haven't had a day off other than a school day off for this entire school year. And I'm looking at July coming up and I go, if something happens, I'm leaving. I have some things in the fire and keep them posted. But when they told me that I had X amount of days built up, I said, all right, thank you. Well, they didn't inform me that every day that I took off, they took from my pay whatever it would take to have a sub do my job, because that's how schools are, right? So if you took off and you're an English teacher and they have to pay a sub to come in to be an English teacher, they take that money from you and move on. So they were taking $100 a day from me and didn't use a sub. And I said, where does that money go?
Yeah.
And I said, I better shut up. This is, you know what I mean? Why? So you need to check all of that stuff ahead of time. But the fact that we have to worry about days off when we have cancer just pissed me off.
Yeah.
And then I was, hey, I'm ready to go back. Okay. I'm going to burn my vacation, but I will go back. Well, then my complications pushed it. And they said, oh, well, by the way, we, we took $1,200 out of your deal and I said, you what? And I go, I wasn't even using that at this point. And they go, well, we'll look at it. Well, then it moved it to the backside. I went back to work. And I go, when you have to make a financial decision to go back to work when you're not ready to go back to work, it sucks. So take that 4 weeks, and however they do it, hopefully it's not like mine at a school district, but at the same time, whatever it takes to get through so you do have time to burn for the rest of the year, because you're going to need those emotional breaks. You're going to say, hey, I just had my 3-month PSA test and I get the results in a couple days, and I'm going to take a couple days off.
Yes.
The first one, I said, yes, undetectable. I was all happy. The next one, it was all, hey, what? Why is it detectable now? And, I talked about this. My doctor wanted to wait to do my PSA test when I was giving all my blood. I go, I'm doing it anyway. Why don't we do it? And he goes, I don't want you to see the results and have to wait 3 weeks to see your doctor. And I said, you think it's going to be elevated too? And he goes, I didn't say that, but I'm saying if that trend continues, you're going to have less time to worry about it if we do it when he has it scheduled. And I go, that's kind of weird. Are you protecting me, or you just want me to go back in and have another visit to draw blood? The bills just keep piling up, man. I don't know what to tell people about that. And I wish that I knew. There's a thing called After Blue. Oh, you have information. I was going to say After Blue is something that I'm going to do some more info on, but I think the After Blue, the way I read their little synopsis, it's a thing like we were talking about, where you can call and talk to prostate cancer specific question answer line. And I'm thinking, if that's the case, I do want to promote that and let people know what it is, but I don't want to do it until we actually have all the answers, because they may be bad people doing bad things. We don't know.
Yeah.
I want to protect people with this, because it's like anything. People are going to try to take advantage of things on the backside, and you're going to get all that literature. And, I don't know. I do want to, at some point, talk about the genome testing that they do when they go, this gene has a mutation in the A1623 whatever, and you go, what does that mean? Right? And you're going to get all of that with a pathology report and all of those things that are going to make you think on the backside of it. And that's why I say this journey is truly a journey. You're not done with it until you are. And, hopefully it's undetectable for the rest of your life, and you die with prostate cancer, not from it. And that's what we all are striving for at this point when we get that diagnosis is, okay, I get it. I'm going to have to monitor it. But at what point do I do it once a year and not worry about it? After you have so many when it doesn't rise and I go, oh crap, I'm going to be doing it for a while. But, it is one of those things that won't go away. But
Right.
I have stuff on support staff. I have things that I'm going to do some research on that to see if it's another avenue we can help people with. But my main goal and your main goal is to get people like your buddy that just got diagnosed to just stop by and listen to the information. We're not barking down people's throats. We're not telling you what to do and how to do it. What we're trying to do is give you a form where you can get some of the information and you realize that we're not afraid to talk about this.
Mhm.
And, when we breach some of those conversations, they're not easy conversations to talk about, but they're necessary. And I want people to come on here and tell their story and encouraging or helping them work through a bad thing that happened, whatever. It's that community of people bringing them together, sharing information. And that's what your other podcasts are about. That's what we talked about in the beginning for this. We're not judging anybody for anything they do, but we're an ear as well as a mouthpiece. So, if we can get that information out, it's going to help. Now, you have a piece of information in your hand. We haven't gotten to that.
I was just gonna talk about, you mentioned bills. I just, my bill for my PET scan just showed up, and I could have bought a very nice car for what it costs to give one person a PET scan. And, uh, so just okay, so I'm very fortunate. I've insurance. I still have to pay a portion of my insurance,
Right.
but, this PET scan was $16,130. How is how is 1 hour's worth of work worth $16,130? Now, I have
It's,
to pay, like, 10% of that. My bill is part that I have to pay, $1,635. I mean,
yeah.
that's ridiculous, and I have insurance.
hmm I don't understand a lot of that, but we talked about the fact I had doctors from the ICU floor that went to the other ICU from intensive care to intermediate care. I was in both of those units and they were a floor apart. But the two doctors came up. I had a bunch of people in the room and they poked their head in the door and they go, "Steve?" And I go, "Yeah. Oh, we were doctors on the ICU floor. We just came up to see how you were doing. We'll be back." I guarantee I got a bill for those two doctors to
Oh,
poke their head in the door. And,
yes.
and why do we do that? Uh, our medical system is broken to
Yeah,
the point I don't want to get totally political, right? Because we could on this topic because it irritates both of us. I can tell. You know, how is it that you have insurance that you pay for, your company pays for as part of your benefit package? They're paying $800 a month for your insurance
yeah.
and you still get a $1,600 bill.
That's just for
And
one test. I've had a MRI, a biopsy, and a PET scan. This is just a PET scan. So
mhm.
there's bills just like that somewhere else that I've already paid.
and or they're sitting there waiting to be sent to you with the thing. I mean, my wife and I talked about this the other day, and she goes, "I was so scared when you were in the hospital. I thought I was going to lose you. The doctors were scaring me with what they were telling me. I don't care about the money." And I go, "I understand that, but when we went into the hospital, we paid a bunch of money, right? Because we're trying to get this done. The community said, hey, here, let me help you. My daughter set up a GoFundMe, and I was so embarrassed I wanted to crawl under a rock. And then I saw the bills. And my wife, the little amount of money that we got from that was gone. The savings that we had, and then my insurance rolled over 2 days, 3 days after I had the initial surgery, so I had another deductible,
Yeah.
and all of the BS that comes in, and you go, Why are we worrying about money with cancer?
Yeah.
Right? There's people that aren't citizens that have better insurance than I have.
Yes.
I pay nothing. My 800 and some odd dollars a month. Thank God the school pays for that, because it was how much for a PET scan? And you think, how many did you have? $16,000.
$1,000 for it. It was a 1-hour PET scan.
But if you look at that, it'll say $16,000. It'll say insurance offset, because they have a price with the insurance. It is now $9,320. Then they take their 80% that they paid. They leaves you with your 20% because your deductible's paid, or 10%, whatever it is. And it's a lot of money.
Yeah. My portion is $1,635.92, but so it's total insurance adjustments, $7,950.39.
Yeah. So if you didn't have insurance, what would that cost to go in to do that? But
Yeah.
the fact that it's that high, and the fact that you talked about your tests you went through, I didn't have that one. I don't know. I don't remember what the bone scan cost, but I was having CT scans. I probably, in that week I was there, I had 15. Another couple MRIs. I had, those ports. It was just ching, ching, ching. And the bills were coming in. I was going, what in the heck do you do with this BS? And they said, get on a payment plan. I go, I can't, because you tell me I owe $6,000 right now, but more bills are going to come in, and we've set it up at 6. And they go, well, then we'll just increase it. No, 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 no. Stop.
That's not how it works, pal.
I am paying you a couple $100 a month, $300 a month. My wife sends them money, and they sent something to collections for $19.23. That same day, we got 8 more that they sent, and all of them except 2 were under $100.
Yeah.
And I go, people, look at how much I paid you. Look how much my insurance has paid you. I almost died. Will you please back off? And you go, it's a business.
Yeah.
And you have to understand it's a business. That technology that they used for the PET scan, that machine is gazillions of millions that they have in there, and all of the dye they put. I mean, all of it costs money, but is it 16? I mean, how quick are we trying to pay?
The clock.
Oh yeah.
They're pumping people in and out around the clock. So this place is pulling in just for, and there's other machines there, right? So just the PET scan alone's probably pulling in, $250,000 a day, every single day.
Can you imagine? I don't know what that machine cost,
Yeah.
but what's your return on investment? The technicians aren't cheap that come out and make it run, and and I get all of the overhead and all of that. I understand business.
The R&D alone on that thing's got to be astronomical.
Yes. And it keeps getting better. The scan that you had is going to be better next year, because it's an upgrade in the programming, and we'll send somebody out, and it's only going to cost you $83,000. And you go, that's better than the $20 million machine we have. I get all of that, but at some point, enough's enough.
Yeah. So when I dropped off my FMLA paperwork for the doctor to sign off on, I had 2 packages, or it was all in one package. I had my paperwork and my wife's paperwork. My wife and I work for the same company, so all the papers were together. So she's filing for FMLA so she could take care of me. She's not taking the entire 4 weeks off. She's taking a couple of days off, but she just wanted to cover her butt, so she put in for FMLA also. I dropped it. I didn't have an appointment. I just walked up to the receptionist and said, here, this is my FMLA paperwork for the doctor to sign off on. She goes, okay, I'll take care of it. I handed it to her, turned around and walked out. 3 days later, I got a bill for 2 co-pays for going to the doctor's office, $60 just to drop off FMLA. I'm like, are you kidding me?
Yeah. And it's weird. They coded something weird, and people look at your bills. I used to think, come on, how bad can it? But there's stuff you go, excuse me, I didn't have a hysterectomy. That wasn't me. I think you have the wrong person, right? I don't know what happens if it's just, are people going to pay that? Are they really? I don't know. I feel sorry for like my parents, they get a bill and they instantly write a check still and they send it or they whatever. And what if it's not right? What if you don't really owe that? You have really good insurance. Why are you paying this? Dad was in the Navy. He could go to a VA, and guess what? There's no VA close, which means he could go to his doctor and they'll cover it. Why aren't you doing that? Well, because way back when, the end of World War II, when your dad signed up in the Navy, he lied about his age. And I go, everyone lied about their age back then to get in to go. They were 17, farm kid in the middle of the country, and they go, I'm going to go. They didn't have anything else going on. They joined, they lied about their age. They said, come on down. And he thinks that he's going to like go to jail or something, the MP's going to knock on the door. Come with us, sir. You're going to the whatever. I don't know. The Navy sends you where to the where do you go? Anyhow, it doesn't.
They send you to the brig.
To the brig, okay. Yeah. That's where he was afraid he was going to go, and I go, you served your country during. Okay, never mind. Different story for a different day. He's getting medical bills still. It's something that we all have to deal with, and let's fight this somehow. Let's figure it out. We're not going to solve that problem. All I'm telling you is if you're going through this and the financial side gets goofy and they're threatening your stuff, go, you know what? I have cancer. I got treated for cancer. I don't care about that right now. I'm paying you. You'll get your money. What else can they do?
Right.
I just, during this time when you're emotional anyway and you're trying to get better and you start seeing things like that, hey, they told my wife about that, Bill. You know what? I found out why I didn't have a PET scan. That's crazy. That's crazy. I'll take my chances. What's going on? Okay, so here's a question that I want people to respond to if they would. If you have your prostate removed and everything's cool and your PSA starts climbing and they said, oh no, your PSA level is to the point we're going to have to do radiation. Do we have a PET scan first? And they go, well, when they start talking about this, your PSA isn't high enough. It needs to be at a 2 in order for it to show up on a PET scan. And I go, so if it comes back, and this is my dilemma, I'm in this headspace right now. If they say, well, Steve, look at your PSA is going, it's growing somewhere. And that's my question. Where is it growing? If we don't know, you're going to radiate my prostate bed where you pulled 3 or 4. Well, I had lymph nodes that didn't look right. And they said, no, non-cancerous, but it's outside the margin. So my brain's like going all this direction. I go, what if you radiate me and that's not even where it is?
Exactly.
So then you say, wait a minute, I have this aggressive cancer. Obviously, it's doing this in 6 months. Get it out of me again. What do you do? I was in that mindset of get it out of me, right? Large lesion, wanted it gone. Now what? Right. So now you're faced with a whole bunch of different questions, a whole lot of things that you're going to have to go through with that information. I don't know. It's going to be that. I feel like it's like a rock slide and you're just standing on a rock like Wile E. Coyote going down the hill. He survived, but, I don't know. That's a scary thought to me, to radiate an area without knowing it's actually there.
Exactly.
And so you go, and they go, well, that's why if you do radiate, that's where that debate gets crazy, right? And you go, okay, you had radiation and it's back. Is it that jelly of a prostate that you have left, or did it expand? Now what do you do? We're going to have to freeze it. There you go. There's an option. It's another surgery. It's something they can do, because everyone said once you have the radiation, you can't have a prostatectomy. That isn't true. It just makes it a lot more difficult, and you have to do it a different procedure. They'll freeze it. They'll go, but guess what? You will not have any nerve sparing anything. You go, wait, what? So you see, it's every time you get a piece of the puzzle, the thing is, it's a scary ass picture you're making. And so you put that puzzle together and just hope that you're making the right decisions all the way down the road. And so this is where my brain's at. I don't know. I'm assuming everybody goes through this to some degree. And is it the knowledge that's making it scary or the lack of knowledge?
Yeah, that's a good point. Knowledge.
It's yeah.
Knowledge
You're
makes it
yeah.
not knowing makes it scary also.
Yeah, I tend to say not knowing is worse than knowing.
Yeah.
But then when you start going down those rabbit holes, be careful because it's going to be one of the you go down the wrong rabbit hole, you're going to get very, very depressed
Yeah,
and
I have
really
to Google prostate cancer or go to WebMD. Like, if I want information, I'll go straight to my doctor. I am not Googling because I might, decipher it wrong or, so if I have questions, I'll just go to my doctor. I am not going to go ask Mr. Google.
yeah, going to the Google. I like I said, I made sure when I was getting the information, I was getting it from reputable websites. And you go, well, what is that? It's not prostate cancer RS. That's not really the one you want to go to. You're going to go to the Mayo Clinic. You're going to go to a cancer institute. You're
Yeah.
going to go, but a lot of those say, come to us. We can help you. We have more programs that are available to you. We have this, we have that. I didn't know what those options are because I am not financially stable at this point to go. I'm not only missing work, I'm going to have somebody take care of all the critters and all the things. And I'm going to have to
Yeah.
fly or drive to a place for how long?
You're gonna like, I'm just gonna take off for a couple of weeks to go to the Mayo Clinic and just post up at a hotel. Like, that's not it's not sustainable.
It, well, it wasn't even an option for me,
Yeah, it's not for me either.
and I go, well, the radiation deal, you're gone every day for however long it takes you to get to where you're doing it and then get back and you go, I'm back to work, but then you're all tired and you're doing your thing. And
Yeah.
it's a choice that there's complications with everything. And there's going to be, you have to weigh the pros and cons of what you're going to do. And once you make that decision, it's kind of, it's kind of like anything. There's a little buyer's remorse possibly, but at the same time, you just have to pull up the old bootstraps and go, I made a decision, I'm going that way. And then you do it.
Yep, no regrets, man. Don't look in the mirror, look out the
Right?
forward.
And it's like
That's
my daughter said, I don't have time for regrets.
yeah,
It's you can't. So accept it and move on and do your thing. We actually have two if you want to divide this. We've talked for a long time today about pizza and tacos and
oh, yeah. Pizza and tacos.
barbecue.
It's all good.
It,
We got more
it is.
about on Wednesday. Hopefully, I have a, guest with us.
Okay. Well, we will do that, and like I said, we'll actually have a few of these in the can. So if you go, what are you guys talking about? You were talking about a weird weather thing that happened because sometimes, I mean, come on, we're real. We're just talking.
Yeah,
So you're going to be part of our lives are going to be shared with you, and now we're going to obviously talk Wednesday. Hey, how'd your appointment go? I didn't get to do that. So what did you learn? You know, let's find out. Let's ask a really complicated question and see what kind of answer we get. We'll just come on
yeah,
something totally off the wall. He goes, excuse me, doc. How many inches am I going to lose during this procedure? He goes, you're worrying about the wrong thing again, sir.
yeah, I'm super looking forward to that.
But there is an answer for that. But
Not
you
even
know,
on
you're,
my mind.
you're
I don't know why people are even asking that question.
why they're what?
Even asking that question, that's not even a blip on my radar.
Because it's afterwards and they're dealing with some of those side effects and they're thinking, how long is this going to go? And, oh, I read about that's where that site gets scary, is because you can jump down that negative thing real quick. They go, well, when I did it, I'll tell you the answer to that question. What is the length of your prostate? Whatever that prostate size is, and you go, I'm going to lose that, because remember, urethra is running through that, and then they have to sew it back together. But at the same time, your bladder is going to settle a little bit, so that isn't going to be what you lose. You're all, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
That's a scary thing. But at the same time, don't worry about that one.
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't even know.
it's going to be in the back of your brain later, because you want everything to work and all of that, but you're alive.
Yeah.
And you're doing what's best for you to stay alive. So if that doesn't work anymore, deal with it. Learn some new techniques. Oh, see, I thought that would at least make you smile. You didn't care. You're all, I can't believe you said that, Steve. Okay, so on that note, we should probably get out of here. We'll do it again. You have words of wisdom.
Yes. Stay strong, stay informed, and above all, stay hopeful. Thanks for tuning in to the Hopecast podcast.
Thank you.